gonna make it. You're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible. It's not probable. You're irresponsible. Too many obstacles. You gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow. You can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move. I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions. They blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen. That shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming.
There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it.
Or will you fight?
Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, a Miami Heat live pre-game streaming show here tonight to preview the game against the Denver Nuggets. Let's introduce the cast. We have four of us with us tonight. First of all, Ollie Rahimi, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Good to hear it, my man. Good to hear it. Sam Aquara, how are you?
I'm tired, man. I'm crazy tired.
Well, if you're tired now, man. If you're
tired now. We've got a long wait tonight.
If you're tired now, then we've got a busy week coming up over on the West Coast. So, strap in. John Jablonka, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks.
Good stuff. We might have Glenn Smith here at some point. He's message says he's having Wi-Fi issues. He's probably with Vodafone, so we'll see how he gets on. But in the meantime, we will roll with the four of us, guys. We're here to preview tonight's game against Denver, which kicks off a West Coast trip for us, 5-game trip. But before we do, as always, let's reflect on another big win, a bounce-back win, a great performance. John Jablonka, just before I came on, I noticed you just dropped another article on your fantastic Simply Balling site to say that we went from one of the best performances to one of the worst performances, back to one of the best defensive performances again. How's this happened?
I don't know. The Boston game was just a weird. It was just one of those games that you have in an 82-game season when nobody can make shots. I think I said they had like over 80% of their shots were wide open or open shots, and then they made like 18% of them, and that just doesn't happen. Most teams shoot around 30-40%, so that's just a weird game that you shouldn't take any away from. And then against Utah, just shots were falling. Lowry was having his first triple-double of his career. He didn't have any triple-doubles in Toronto. So yeah, that's what we.
You're going to annoy Toronto fans with that. Sorry, carry on.
And that's why we had a great performance against Utah.
It was a great performance. It was a really good performance. Once again, sort of fueled off of the bench with that energy. Another great shooting performance from Tyler Hero with 29 points off the bench. But Sam, as John sort of alluded to there, a triple-double for Kyle, another great performance, another high-scoring performance, which is what we weren't seeing in the beginning of his very early Miami Heat career, playing very well, but those points weren't dropping. Now he's getting it all, isn't he? He's not only having that influence, but he's knocking down some buckets too. This is all just good signs for the Heat going forward.
Yeah, and it was quite refreshing to see. And I was actually quite impressed with his defense as well, because obviously his offense stood out, but you could just feel his gravity on the court on a defensive end, getting people just to be in the right spaces as well. And if you look at the numbers, Rudy Gobert, we held him so low. Hassan Whiteside off the bench, so low, but obviously that's due to Bam and all that. But the defense is just fantastic in that game. And yeah, it was good. We got a huge lead. We got to give them credit for getting that lead. But even though we nearly dropped it, we still got that win. And a win's a win in this early days. But yeah.
Yeah, this is it. It's it got a nervous finish, maybe tighter than it should have been. We'll come on to that in a minute. But Ollie, as Sam was just saying there, Bam v Gobert was a big part of that win. We've got the future defensive player of the year, hopefully, really sort of having a real big effect, like he does against any big matchup. That was key to this victory, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It was a coming out game for Bam in terms of national media coverage, really sort of recognizing him as a potential defensive player of the year winner. Playing against Gobert, who's obviously won it a couple of times already. There was one play in particular that I loved. It's when he stripped Rudy of the ball. You could just see that celebration. As soon as he poked the ball free, he celebrated. Get down the other end, I think it was Kyle Lowry that made the bucket. and straight away he turns around to Bam straight away, and he's congratulating him. Like, it has such an impact on the game. And yeah, I think he's really there now. He's in the media. He's in people's brains. He's in people's minds. He's a name now that a lot of people know. And maybe that was the problem, or that's what held him back from winning it for the last couple of years. But yeah, he's a top level now, definitely.
Yeah, he's joined that elite company, hasn't he? That is the thing. So, yeah, I totally agree with you, Sam. Just quickly come back to you, because you've got your own segment about to come up called the Culture Countdown. And when I saw that strip, and the Heat official account sort of played that quite a lot with that strip, followed by that sort of flexing celebration, and I thought to myself straight away, there's a Culture Countdown moment right there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've had a lot of fun putting that together. But yeah, hopefully we'll get it ready by Wednesday. But I'm so excited to show it to you guys.
It's going to be good fun. Yeah, we'll come on to that hopefully later on this week. One player that jumped off the page to me as well, John, really affected. I've been impressed with him all season, but we're seeing real productive minutes. Is Caleb Martin? What have been your thoughts on Caleb's performance?
Yeah, that was surprising. Seeing that he basically played the whole fourth quarter. On offense, it was just he did his thing. I think he ended like almost 10 points. Had a highlight of the game, I would say, with his reverse layup, that lob from Lowry. Defensively was solid as well. He had a great performance, and it was surprising he got minutes over Duncan and over anyone else off the bench. So glad to see a good replacement to our Max Struss.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, Max has done brilliantly as well, so it's good to see that we've got yet another guy, the next man up, as they say, just coming in to take the minutes and do productively well. So to have him on a two-way contract, I think is fantastic business. So I've been really, really impressed.
He's what KZ was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. He is what KZ was supposed to be. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've been really impressed. I had to give Caleb Martin a shout out, because he's been balling. Before we end the Utah reflection, Sam, there's been this sort of week-long, well, maybe not even week-long, probably almost season-long rumbling on Heat Twitter about when Duncan Robinson, again, not particularly having this sort of productive game in terms of a box score and shooting and getting his points down. But there's this grumbling ongoing thing about who should be starting, Duncan or Tyler. Now, for me, it's a non-starting debate. I don't see any reason why you would change it as it is, but that is only my opinion, and there's plenty of people on Heat Twitter that disagree with that opinion. What are your thoughts on it, buddy?
So first off, I'm like the leader of the anti-starting five conversation. I absolutely hate starting five conversations, because I think it's completely useless. Like, all that matters is who's going to be there in the clutch, end of the game, finishing off. But yeah, I think it's completely irrelevant. And like, we're seeing Tyler Hero taking this stride, and we obviously saw what happened with him last season, and he got into the starting lineup and he couldn't reach the expectations, and Heat Twitter unfortunately piled on him. But yeah, I mean, putting him in the second unit and like bringing that spark off the offense is working for him. And like the whole NBA media, like the national media coverage, everyone's picking up on it, and it's doing wonders for him in his career. Like, he's only in his third year, and like he's getting that sort of opportunity to just take charge within like that second unit, but he's also been integrated in the first unit as well. So like he gets his minutes with his first guys as well. So I think it's working fine. Duncan's gonna find his rhythm. He's a shooter. Just give him some time. Like, give me about 20, 30 more games, and if Duncan's still like this, then I've got an issue. But I've got no problem right now.
Yeah, this is exactly the same as me. I have to sort of try and remind people that we're off to a 7-2 start. Why are we even? Why is this a thing? You know, his story will be he could go 50% over 15 attempts for the next 5 games, and everyone will forget about it. Shooters will go through hot and cold, periods. It's not just about what he's doing in terms of his box score. It's what he does, just the gravity that he holds, everything else. We've spoken about it 100 times. I've not got a problem with it at all, and I just do not get the debate, especially as I think it was even one of the main accounts, Heat versus Haters, might have said, Hero is averaging more minutes a game than what Duncan does anyway. What is the issue here? And as you said,
it's so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. Yeah, I agree. Right, guys, let's come on to tonight's game. Another, great win against Utah. Big bounce back win. But now starts the first of a 5-game road trip. Tough games in here. Ollie, for me, even though there's a back-to-back against the Lakers and the Clippers coming up, for me, this is the toughest game of that road trip. Going to Denver is always difficult, what with the altitude, etc. They've made an up and down start to the season, currently 5-4. Some tough losses there. A couple of back-to-back losses against the Grizzlies just recently, but they're always going to be a tough outfit in their own arena. Do you see this, like me, as the hardest game of this trip?
Yes and no. I think if it's not the hardest, it's the second hardest, because we've got Utah again next weekend, I think it is, in their place, and obviously they've had a great start, other than the other night. I think Denver have been slightly underwhelming from what people probably expected from them. Obviously, Jamal Murray is out for however long. It's been a while, and it's unfortunate because he was doing so well before he went down. Michael Porter Jr. is out as well for tonight's game, but I think it is going to be difficult. I think a lot of teams, when they go to Denver, they struggle. With the altitude, as you mentioned, they are so used to and accustomed to playing in that arena, in that situation, that for them it's second nature. But from a team coming from Miami, for example, not quite adept at playing at such an altitude, and it does have an impact, I think, over a course of a game. So it does give them that advantage. So if it's not the toughest one on the trip, it's the second at least.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always a tough game, especially when you've got still the reigning MVP on your side, who has done really, really well as well this season and continues to excel, the guy, Nikola Jokic. John, Denver are scoring 100.7 points per game on average, so low scoring percentage, but they're only allowing their opposition to 98.8 points per game, so they're grinding out wins. With the Heat, obviously very good defensively as well. It's going to be a slugfest tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at the games on Clean Their Glass as well. If they're not that good offensively, yes, it seems this season. So, and with their Heat being one of the best defensive, so I'd say there's going to be a low scoring 90, low hundreds game. And if I didn't even know Michael Porter was out, so I don't know where they get the offense from. If it's just Jokic, and then we just put Bam, get PJ as well, have Deadman on them. If we can just contain Jokic, and this game should be a real low scoring game and just won by defense.
Yeah, it should be won by defense. Exactly that. One big area possibly here, Sam, is off the boards, because the Heat rank incredibly first in rebounds. Still scratch my head at this. Denver all the way down in 28th, so that could be a big plus here for a key to a victory tonight. That aside, what's the biggest matchup tonight?
That's a very good question. I think I won't call it a matchup, but I'd say what the defensive plan is for Nikola Jokic, because he's doing everything for the Nuggets at this point. I think he's leading them in points, assists, rebounds, and like John was saying, they're top defensive team. I was surprised to see I think they're top 3 in defensive rating, and they're just slightly above Miami. But offensively, they're like bottom 5. So it's going to be a proper sluggish game, and that's kind of what I really want to see, to be honest. But I'd love to see how we contain Nikola Jokic, because it could be a really ugly game. It could be a really ugly game for them, and I'm talking might not. John,
you look like you were smiling there. Look like you had some stats up there for us. What you got?
Yeah, it's just some Jokic stats are just weirdly impressive. It's more shocking how Denver is as well. He's on off court difference is plus 40. So when he's not on the court, the team is just they're minus 20 net rating when he's off the court.
Wow.
And even when he's on the court, they have a below average offense.
Yeah, it is going to be a slugfest. I think it's still going to hinge on that. And as you say, no Porter, no Murray, as we know. Miami might not have a better chance there than to grind this out and to get a big win in a really difficult place to do. Before we come into the predictions, Ollie, you have got some late night takeaways for us, so let's do it. What you got for us, my man?
So actually, you kind of led into my first point really well. Like you said, I think this is the best chance for the Heat to get a win. And the first point is that the Heat need to take advantage of Denver and of the Lakers and the Clippers, who have all three started the season pretty poorly compared to what we and the media and the league in general would probably expect them to have done, and probably where they will be come April. In the past, the Heat have tended to struggle in games that they should win. And then, they'll go and beat the big teams. They'll go and beat the games that you don't expect them to win, and then drop the games that you would think, right, this is the chance to, killer mentality, really stamp your authority on the league and show everybody what you're about. So I think Denver tonight, like I said, Lakers and Clippers, they're all pretty short-handed with injuries, not started the season well. I think it's really important for the Heat to kick on. If you can get 3 wins out of those 3, then brilliant. But as long as you don't come back with a negative record after those 3, I think the Heat will be pleased with that, and I think that really will be a good Kickstarter and barometer of where the Heat are this season.
Yeah, I think before you come on to anything else, I think that's sort of the way I was looking at it tonight, because you've got the Lakers and the Clippers on a back-to-back. So I think I know we're rolling, and I know they're not either of those teams just yet, but I think you would take a split there of a 1-on-1, and then you've got the Thunder to end it, which you'd like to think you'd pick that W up. But then you've got the Jazz, which is going to be a tough game. Obviously, they're doing very well. I know we've just beaten them, but that was a very tight game, very close matchup there. So that's why I really put a lot of emphasis on tonight's game, because if you can get that opening W in a difficult place, you'd then like to think that you would then go ahead and take this 5-game road trip with it and come back with a positive record. So yeah, that's why I got, tonight's a big one. Did you have anything else for us there at all? Was that a lot?
Yeah, so the second one is that, interestingly, the Heat have only lost 9 quarters through the first 9 games.
Wow.
And it's pretty impressive record. They're 27-9 through the first 9 games. Interestingly, when you divide that by 4, they work out at roughly 7-2, which is their record. So yeah, the Heat's the style of play that they've had so far this season, I mentioned it in an article I wrote the other day, it is sustainable. If they were shooting 60-70% from 3, that's not a sustainable method of play for the 82-game season. But the way the Heat are playing at the moment and not really shooting the ball very well, it is sustainable.
Yep.
And they've done a really, really good job this season of limiting opposition's runs. Obviously, barring Utah the other night when it got a bit touchy towards the end, but they have, in the most part, done a really good job of monitoring that and not allowing teams to get a real head of steam on them. And in the 2 games they've lost, in both of those games, they only lost 1 quarter. So I think there's like I said before, there's a foundation, there is a platform there for the Heat, and if they can eradicate the misses or the unforced errors, the turnovers, stuff like that, then we'll be in a good position.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. It does make you sort of think about it, because as you quite rightly say, when there's hot streaks going on, big shooting streaks, your luck's gonna run out. But from what you've just put up there, you start to think, well, yeah, this is sustainable, and that's what all that matters. So brilliant stuff. Love me a Ollie late night takeaway. Great stuff. Right, okay, guys, let's come on to some predictions. I'm going to go last because I'm sort of rethinking. I was sort of coming into this thinking, I'm not really sure about it. I think it's always going to be a tough matchup. I was starting to maybe, be a bit hesitant on a Heat win, and am I going to be the first one in our group to go against the Heat? I'm going to go last. John, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going a 102-95 win.
For the Heat, I assume.
Yeah.
For the Heat, of course. And also, your record through this 5-game road trip, what do you think?
I'll say we win today, split LA, hopefully win against Thunder. And then I'm not sure on the Utah. I would say maybe a loss. They're motivated to win again. So that will be 1, 2.
But that's
3
a 3-2. We won't be grumbling. That's fine. Sam Aquara, thoughts on tonight's game? Are we going to win? And your 5-game prediction, please.
Yeah, we're definitely going to win. I think this is probably going to be my widest range of victory prediction all through the season. I'm going to go with 105-89 Heat win.
Wow.
It's going to be grimy. It's going to be grimy.
That is some guts. Okay, I love it. Road trip record?
Yeah, I think we're going to do 4-1. I'm going to go 4-1. That Utah game, I'm not sure of, but I genuinely think we could take this game. We could get both games in LA. Well, depends on what LeBron's doing. But still, even if LeBron's still on, I think we can still get both games.
Yeah.
And the OKC game, I think we could do that. But yeah, 4-1.
Great stuff. Love it, mate. Love the energy. Ollie, what are you thinking?
I don't know what Heat team's going to turn up, but I think maybe like a 110 mid-90s win for the Heat. I think, and I agree with John. I think 3-2. If you offered me that now, I'd take it hands down. But we could go 4-1, hopefully.
Great stuff. So as of yet, we have yet to have a stream where anybody who has been on the broadcast has gone against the Heat. We've literally swept each one. So I cannot be, as your host, the first one to go against us, even though I do think it's going to be a lot tougher than maybe what my panel here is thinking it's going to be. I think we're going to squeeze this by 2 late 90s, like a 98, 96. I think it's going to be a bit of a grind. But if that gets over the line, I'm going 4-1 for the Heat. I'm going 4-1. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be really fun tonight. We're about to go into this ridiculous stretch now of late night games, as it always is. We've also lost our hour. That little lovely blissful week we get where we're only 4 hours behind is now gone. That's back to normal now. So it will be a 2 a.m. tip-off tonight. We will, of course, still be there at the Miami Heat UK, so follow us along for in-game comms. Guys, we'll leave it there. We will be back on Wednesday for the preview against the Lakers, but let's get this dub tonight. Let's start this road trip off in great fashion. Enjoy the game.